thought I was done talking about Unknown 9 Awakening and how this latest piece of garbage coming out of Namco Bandai's Reflector Studios and Sweet Baby Inc. and Kim Belair, the CEO, being the story architect of this world, and supposedly she's this consultant that everyone puts their trust and faith in that won't lead them astray. But YouTuber Private Prime recently posted a video exposing just how out of touch this really is and how the culturally sensitive narratives that Sweet Baby Inc. is supposedly known for is anything but that. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT, and everyone's favorite game to pile on, Unknown 9 Awakening, seems to be in the news once again for all the wrong reasons. And this situation right here completely exposes Sweet Baby Inc. for the fraudulent organization it is. They literally put the word con in consultancy. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full exhaustive article going over how Sweet Baby Inc. is anything but culturally sensitive. In the latest game, Unknown 9 Awakening, walking through the town and listening to the NPCs discuss and chatter, you would think it's just regular chatter, that nothing really to look twice upon, and most people would think nothing of it, and many people didn't think twice. But the whole point of Sweet Baby Inc. is to make sure that these are the types of things that they get right. But instead, it does the exact opposite. I first heard of this situation while I was watching a stream of New Blackstreet covering the story, so shout out to Atreus and Kata for bringing this to my attention.
A clear idea why this is probably one of the most laziest game came out this year. This scene is set in Bengal region of India, back in 1912. To make the area sound crowded like a bustling market, the devs added random conversation from the internet. How do I know? Well, these NPCs talking in Bangladeshi Bengali language, which is very similar to my mother tongue, which is Indian Bengali language. I added subtitle. Now enjoy.
Bandai Namco Entertainment contracted Sweet Baby Inc. for Unknown 9 Awakening. I assumed that they expected a nuanced and respectful portrayal of the Bengal region in 1912, but instead, players were given a lazy, tacked-on attempt that's offensive in its sheer lack of effort. The region feels like a ridiculous caricature rather than any kind of real, authentic cultural representation, which, by the way, quick interjection here, that's literally the entire point of Sweet Baby Inc. To be culturally respective and diverse, and making sure that if you're not familiar with what's going on in an area or a situation or a language, that you are in charge of hiring a professional externally, bringing them in and consulting with you to make sure you get it right. And this situation right here shows they did absolutely none of that. Notice anything interesting there? Yeah, they're just random phrases jumbled together to make it seem like a bustling street, when in reality, they did no work to figure out what was actually being said there. They just, what it feels like, ripped these phrases off of Google Translate and shoved them into the game, and it made absolutely no sense. Unknown 9 Awakening has proven that Sweet Baby Inc. co-CEOs Kim Belair and David Bedard are far more focused on the idea of diversity than its actual substance, wielding the promise of cultural respect as a cheap facade to sell their expertise professionally, and to this day, many companies keep falling for it. Grums on Twitter had previously said, okay, it turns out Kim, the other co-founder of SBI, is the story architect for Reflector's Unknown 9. It's confirmed by Kabrutus. I hope Japanese companies stop funding SBI games. The publisher is Bandai Namco, and they will lose money from the poor story work. Grums later quote tweeted himself saying, Unknown 9 releases Friday, but bans you if you even talk about SBI involvement. But Kim Belair, CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., is the story architect of the game. In the Bandai Namco livestream of the gameplay yesterday, the developer was asked to give a background of the main character. All he could say was, she is very smart and strong. That's the problem with woke characters. They have no interesting dynamics and just reduced to two-dimensional cutouts to check boxes. This is what tokenism is. The entire town is filled with inaccurate, laughable NPC dialogue showing complete disregard for any kind of nuances to the region. Kim Belair is credited in the game as the story architect, and she oversaw these narrative choices. Yet the product here shows zero understanding or respect for any of the culture that they were supposedly setting out to portray. Outside of extorting money from companies that don't know any better, what the hell is the point of Sweet Baby Inc. if they can't even get this right? Sweet Baby Inc. always takes the stance that they are the gatekeepers of cultural sensitivity and that their consultancy services ensures respectful narration in their games. But in the Bengal region of Unknown 9 Awakening, they completely missed the mark. Analyzing the dialogue choices for NPCs shows everyone just how poorly researched and shallow the execution here truly is. The developers filled the bustling streets of Bengal Market with random contextless phrases that were clearly ripped randomly off the internet. None of it makes any sense at all. Now you could say, oh, there's games like Grand Theft Auto where you walk the streets and you bump into people and they say random things out of context too. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. But that's not being a game being made by some sort of consultancy agency that cares and respects for the diversity of nature of another region. And I'd almost argue that Grand Theft Auto actually is pretty accurate in portraying the regions that they're located in. According to Private Prime, one instance that highlights this absurdity is a conversation where NPCs in 1912 Bengal are shown speaking Bangladeshi Bengali, a dialect geographically, culturally, and historically different from the region and time setting that the game takes place in. Like, what is the point of Sweet Baby Inc. if you can't get that right? It's an extremely lazy shortcut that demonstrates just how little SBI actually cares about the cultures that they're dealing with, treating it as a convenient checkbox rather than an integral part of the story. And I'm sure there's going to be people that hear me say all this and say, oh, Smash, yeah, I don't like SBI as much as the next guy, but this is really a minor thing. Is it really worth going all in on them for this minor NPC dialogue in the town? And I say, yes, because this is what they do. This is why companies hire them. And they've gone on record saying that if they don't know something, they will go hire someone that is professional in the local region and come over and talk to them to make sure they get it right, which is exactly what did not happen here. One NPC, for instance, casually mentions fry rice, as it adds the air of authenticity to the setting. Other characters are heard rambling about coffee over and over again, in a way that's both contextually completely out of place and nonsensical, making it painfully obvious that the dialogue was crammed in for show without any understanding of the region's culinary habits or dialogue styles at the time that it's supposed to take place. This is actually a wildly important detail that a lot of people are just glossing over. It's genuinely not the biggest deal to me. Like, honestly, I take a step back and be like, honestly, I don't care because I don't understand the language, whatever. But the whole point of Sweet Baby Inc. is to get this stuff right. And they didn't even do that, proving to everyone that there is literally zero need for them. No one cares. If Belair and Bedard had truly cared about the Bengal setting and its people, they would have done their research, ensuring that the characters sounded authentic, not a series of Google translated phrases strung together in ambient noise to make it sound like a crowded marketplace. Sweet Baby Inc.'s approach treats cultural authenticity as a marketing ploy rather than an essential component of storytelling. They want to make you think that they're doing all the right things, and they say all the right words to you in their marketing speeches, but in reality, when rubber hits the road, it's anything but that. This isn't about celebrating diversity or respecting cultures. This is cultural exploitation, plain and simple. By touting themselves as the arbiters of social acceptability and the people who are the truth bearers, Sweet Baby Inc. strong-arms developers into buying their services while delivering subpar, misleading narratives that only harm the very cultural respect they claim to uphold. They are not qualified for the work they claim to be professionals doing, and this is a perfect example example of that. And as I've talked about many times before, Sweet Baby Inc. is a company that works under the guise of providing expertise on diversity and inclusion. They've become the gaming industry's version of an extortion mafia. Hell, Kim Belair, the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., goes on stage and admits it to everyone.
If you're not in AAA, and if you're indie, or if you're freelance, and you're building a budget because you still have to, and you're writing up a pitch, I would say that you should consider adding the necessary funds for representation into your scope as you would any other item. When we budget as Sweet Baby Inc., we actually add about 10% of our entire narrative development budget to hire storytellers and collaborators who can kind of help us see where our blind spots are.
They've positioned themselves as like the untouchable experts in the field that nobody is allowed to question. So when something like this happens, they can try to speak down to you like, oh, you don't understand the regional dialects and the cultural things that happen there. But in reality, they don't know what the hell is happening. They are frauds. They are pretending to live in the CEO role to make money, to sell an idea to companies and pull the wool over their eyes and say, don't worry, you hire us for our services, we'll take care of your game to make sure it doesn't get canceled by any kind of woke mobs because, well, that's us.
Put this stuff up to your higher-ups, and if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
The blatant disregard for culture in Unknown 9 Awakening exposes the true colors of Sweet Baby Inc. It's not about enriching the stories or preserving the essence of diverse cultures. It's about squeezing developers for cash under the guise of social responsibility. And this house of cards is beginning to fall. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Again, shout out to New Blackstreet where I found out about this because without you guys, I didn't even know this even happened. It's crazy. When you peel the onion back and you see exactly what's happening, it's pretty scary just how fraudulent it all is. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. And as always, you stay smashing. This is the whole reason why Kim Belair and David Bedard and Sweet Baby Inc. do what they do. They hire a professional from externally to come in. And that person is the professional that brings the information to them and says, yeah, this is what they're supposed to avoid the cultural appropriation. That's crazy. Smash,